This is participant 005. Thank you for coming for this interview. The aim of this research is to explore and understand your experience as a mentee within an Asian postgraduate medical setting, looking particularly at social cultural concepts. So, can you describe your mentorship journey in the residency program?
So at the start of the residency, I was assigned a mentor. So and then after that, then we meet up on a regular basis, which is actually about maybe every 3 to 6 months. But most of the time is actually I will try to set up a meeting and then we'll meet up. And so, as in, what else? As in,
okay. So you mentioned you were assigned a mentor, right? Do you have a choice to choose a mentor?
So I know that those who the rest of my batchmates actually, whoever that actually as in were given a choice lah. So you could either name one or actually just be assigned one.
Okay.
So I think when I started, I didn't really have one in mind, so that's why I was just assigned.
Okay. And you said you meet up once every 3 to 6 months, right? How long are these sessions usually?
Usually about an hour plus.
An hour plus. Okay. And it's usually you who initiates the meetings?
Yes.
Okay. Oh dear. Can you describe your initial interactions with your mentor?
Initial interactions. I think because initially we didn't really know each other very well, so it was more like a more cordial kind of interaction, I would say. And subsequently, as we more meetups, and then it was a bit it was a bit more personal, I guess.
Okay. So how else has this relationship evolved?
As in evolved meaning?
As in you said now is the relationship seems closer now, right? Yeah. Any other features ways it's changed?
Any other ways it's changed? Probably I feel more at ease to actually interact. Towards the maybe like the start of senior residency, maybe. So it probably took a few meetups actually to be comfortable lah.
Okay. How would you describe your experience in this mentorship relationship?
I thought it's quite good in the sense that my mentor will actually point out certain things which are more on a more macro scale, so that because sometimes actually we just get caught up in the day-to-day things and workings of things, and then it actually helps to, these periodic meetings actually help to let you take a step back and look at the last few months, and then after that then discuss any problems or issues, and he will sort of like direct you in a sense, saying that now probably you are year what already, and this is probably what you should be looking at, and then the next time we meet, and then okay, now you have completed this, and then this is something else that you should look at. So he sort of like give a big picture review, which actually I thought it was like good, like as in it actually helps to point towards something that actually you should try to work against, work for during that year, in a sense. So for example, like when it was like time to take exams, then he will say that okay, this is you should just now it's really time that you should try to prepare, and like how to go about doing it, and and after your exams, okay, now that you've completed your exam, so the next thing to do is actually to consider research, for example. Yeah, so I mean he points it out and he maps it out, and because actually he'll tell you like, you know, so what is your final goal, which is like to become either a hospitalist or actually uh, like somebody who actually does just outpatient, for example, and so he will map out these things, and then just leave it open for me to think about it lah.
So do you feel any time he may be imposing on you certain?
Not really. Yeah.
Okay. So you started to talk about advantages already. So any other advantages of this relationship that you?
Advantages. I think it helps guide you, and it helps like I said, give you a macro view, and also the last thing is actually it gives you sort of like a center. So it's something that you actually go back to, and you remember like this is actually what you discussed, and you know, so even though like, you know, there are a lot of other things that are going on, like, you know, patient contact and like, you know, problems at work and everything, we don't really talk about all those things unless it's like really like impactful, because I mean on the day-to-day basis you probably will talk to like your current seniors, the one that is managing the ward, and then if anything then you will actually probably check with them, and or like if there's some problems then you will actually like, you know, highlight it to them rather than actually your mentor. But mentor is like more like more provides more of the guidance of the whole program to ensure that, you know, there's somebody else to look at the other parts of things, not just the work part of things, but your own personal development as well. Yeah.
And you find this useful? Okay. Why?
As in why?
Yeah. You were talking about the big picture, but why would this be useful to you?
Because it helps me to like, you know, see certain goals that I want or don't want, and then after that then it actually helps you to work towards the goals. Like for example, if your day-to-day consultant actually won't talk to you about all these things, will probably just like, you know, how's the patient, and like, you know, then how do we deal with the current situation. Yeah.
Can you give some examples of these goals that have been mapped out for you?
Okay, so I mean he didn't like say, oh, you must achieve this and this and this, but he put it in a way that so now you're year 5, it's actually good to actually do a bit of research, because by the time you actually, it will be very fast before you exit, and once you exit then you actually need a real research paper to be promoted, and so on and so forth. And in terms of like eventual goals, like have you considered what kind of specialty, and if not, and then not just the specialty but also what kind of work you want to do, like if you really want just outpatient or just remain as hospitalist, or actually just half of each, then you have to start thinking about it and approach the right people to do it. So this is actually what he will tell you, but he doesn't tell you, okay, then you must come to me. Or he doesn't tell you that then you must do this or this or this. So actually it helps you like it actually sets you thinking basically about these issues, which probably, unless if you are already a very you already have a goal in mind before you start. If not, then for most of us actually who do not have really a goal in mind before we start, then probably it actually helps us along the way.
And you felt you did not really have a clear goal to start off lah.
Yeah, and I think it also helps with like self-discovery lah, in the sense that actually he like say that do you feel that you are this or actually like this, then it actually sets you thinking.
That's a good point, because usually your day-to-day supervisors won't be that focused on that, right? Okay. How about on a more personal level, your relationship with your mentor, Are you all business only, or is there also a personal aspect?
I think it's actually more business only,
Okay.
rather than the more personal aspect.
Okay.
I mean, once or twice we'll just find out, like, how's your family and so on. Then I mean, that's about it lah. Yeah.
Okay. Why is that so? Or why do you think that is so?
I guess maybe also because it's the number of times you meet up and like how long you actually spend.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't really meet up with him that often. I mean, once every 3 to 6 months is not very often. So if you count it, like 1 year probably meet about 3 times or like 2 times only. So then of course then you probably won't be, and each time probably if it's an hour you probably won't be able to get to talk about other things. Yeah. And usually I think that it's more like during free time during work hours lah. I mean, because also you don't want to compromise onto his like personal time, so then sometimes then of course there will be the extra time to spare lah.
Okay, brought up a few good points. You will try to touch on them one at a time. So could this not developing a personal relationship, do you think, could it be due to individual factor, like maybe yourself or your mentor not being that open or more business-like character?
I think it's both as well. I mean, it always take two ways. So if let's say I don't feel comfortable, then I probably won't say that I've got this problem and that problem. But I know that actually if I really need to, like if I have any problems that I need to talk to somebody, I can also go to him. But it's just that I will probably choose somebody else that I actually have easier access to lah, in a sense, like meaning like my peers, or like who are like maybe just in the same office, yeah, or like just friends when you're just outside work. Yeah.
So these problems you're talking about is not a work related problem, or
as in it probably is like not really, it can be work related, but it's also like related to your own personal, like for example emotions and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it could still be semi work related.
Yeah.
Okay. Work induced relations.
Yeah.
Emotions.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. So you choose not to go to, you prefer not to go to your supervisor for that lah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we dig deeper into that?
Sure. Like
why do you think so?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know, just not so comfortable, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what you feel lah. So you don't feel comfortable in approaching lah. Okay. How about if we were to challenge and say that Asian juniors maybe don't want to lose face in front of their seniors, do you think that could play a part in?
Maybe, but I guess it's also more the persona, and also your exposure to the mentor lah. Because if let's say you meet your mentor like really regularly, and you really like talk about other things other than just like work, then of course then I think then I'll be probably more comfortable lah. And of course like other seniors, not just the mentor, but other seniors in the program, then probably you will be more likely to actually go to them, because actually they are more accessible in a sense also.
Okay.
Yeah.
More accessible. Okay, you also mentioned that sometimes you have this feeling that you don't want to compromise the time of your senior.
Yeah lah.
Yeah. Is it do you frequently get this feeling, like before you want to arrange for meeting, then
Yeah, so I will ask like when are you free, and I will make sure I check and make sure that that he's actually on leave, not on leave,
Okay.
that kind of thing. Then I will like probably just message him, and yeah.
So usually, how is your mode of contact like? How do you usually set up an appointment?
I'll probably just message him,
Message
and then
him.
after that this and this time is free, then I'll just go to the office.
Okay. So you think that this mentor is very busy lah?
Yeah.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Is there a large gap between you and your mentor in terms of years of experience? Are we talking about 10, 20 years?
I think so.
I think so. So the person is a senior consultant, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. How will you describe a typical session? Let's say you have arranged to meet and then you have started to meet. What happens during that? From start to end, this 1 hour?
So we'll start off by asking how are you and everything, and then of course then any problems to highlight, and then after that then he will after that then we will actually then he will say, okay, so now you have done all this already, then he will give a review lah, after you've already done all these already, and in the coming year maybe you should try to do like this, for example. And then after that then he will check how is other things see whether there's any personal problems or anything like that I wish to highlight lah. But so far I've been doing okay, so nothing much to actually discuss.
Is there any preparation work needed for this meeting?
Not really lah, but it's just that then along the way then I'll just for the deliverables then sometimes if let's say I need his signature, then I'll just bring along.
Right. So is there people involved in this as well?
It's just the signing of the forms, like if I need to sign forms lah.
Okay.
But if not, then no lah.
Okay. What do you feel about this paperwork?
It makes you need to. I think probably it gets into the way also. I mean the fact that we need to document each meeting. So it's like but it's not like I mean on the normal, I mean I still do meet him like on some walk rounds and everything, and I mean we still have interaction, but it's just that then always need to set up one, then actually to sign one off that kind.
Okay.
So I think the paperwork is a bit irritating lah.
Okay. Thank you for your honest feedback. Okay. So you mentioned you also see your mentor during walk rounds, is it?
Yeah.
So you also work with your mentor on a day-to-day basis, is that
as in
true?
It's just by rotation, and it's
just
not
by rotation.
as in by chance lah. You probably won't be able to like say I don't think it's like somebody else plans their roster and somebody else plans our roster, and then after that we just somehow meet in a sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
In your opinion, is that good or bad?
I think that's okay.
That's okay.
As in, you mean whether like to be more deliberate and always be doing rounds with him or something like that? Is it? Not really.
Would it be better? Yeah.
Because actually, I think if if you set it up like that, then you probably won't be able to. I mean, it depends on what you are trying to get out of it. Because if let's say you want to just learn how he practices, then of course or catch a glimpse of how he does things, then of course then it is good in a sense and then he can also give you pointers, but more than that, I think actually the fact that we actually rotate around and we actually do see how other people actually work as well, So it actually gives us a bit of a broader overview rather than just be like stuck to one and so on. Yeah. And actually gives us a bigger variety lah, in a sense. Yeah. Because it's also not like different mentors are also like different specialties as well.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
if you try to, I mean, if it's not in a specialty that you really want, I mean, if you haven't decided and you not in the specialty that you really want eventually, then like keep working with him also it's not like you can actually gain anything. So I think also depends like maybe the way it can, I mean, the fact that is the other advantage is that the current system is it allows you to choose, but if you actually don't get to choose, then you just get assigned one, so then you slowly build the relationship from there. Yeah, because like for those people who choose, they probably already like have like know the person, and probably they might be thinking that they want to do that certain specialty, then it actually makes more sense lah. Yeah, I mean, of course the ideal situation is that from the very start you already know what you want, and then you get a mentor that is actually in that specialty, and then you get mentored throughout your career. That is actually the ideal situation, but unfortunately I think most of us actually, because without rotating through different specialties or disciplines, I think we won't really be able to see first, as in we won't really be able to decide until much later. Yeah, and so then you won't have that kind of like mentorship that you are like
yeah. So back to your point about the person choosing at the, you can either be assigned or you choose, right? I understand you can do a switch when you
you can.
Have you switched?
No, because I thought I'm quite okay already. Like if not, then if you switch, then you have to like put the relationship again, unless it's somebody that you already meet on the ground and you have frequent contact already, and then you decided just to switch lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you chose not to switch because of familiarity. Right. Okay. Has your mentor influenced your suspect decision?
Not really. I think he tries to keep it open.
Okay. Have you heard anybody whose mentor has influenced the suspect?
Not really lah. Yeah.
Okay. So back to the point about meeting your mentor more frequently, like on a walk round basis, right? So you mentioned it could be good also, but in any ways you think that could be not that good?
Not that good, as in as in whether there is any like potential conflict of interest, that kind of thing. Maybe. As in, if it's actually something that like if you really need to tell your mentor, like probably I'm not doing well in a certain thing, and then it becomes a bit tough to tell, especially when he is actually on the ground with you lah. Yeah. So it's better that he is not around. Then at least he probably, I mean, you feel a bit better not to not have that because actually for all you know, you might actually just be like doing not well in a certain day, like when he is actually around, and then then it actually becomes a bit difficult for you to like really tell him that I think I really did badly, that kind of thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
So some people think the mentor and supervisor should be a bit more separate for this reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So this whole mentorship experience, can you share some advantages that you have encountered? I think you already started on some, but any more advantages that you have?
I guess for people who already know what they want, then it will be actually very, I mean, it will be the best lah. in a sense. Yeah, and I also agree that having the ability to change midway is also good, because if let's say you have already decided, then you actually can go on with a mentor that really teaches you that specialty lah. But then again, that caveat is that if you will not be if let's say if you for example in a certain specialty you think that you are doing badly already, then your mentor just looks at you and then I don't think you should carry on, and then you have nobody to talk to already after that. So I think it's difficult to sort of set up a perfect system, but actually a more open system would be actually good in a sense, and which is actually what it is currently.
Open as in?
As in open to change.
Open to change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then but the yeah lor. I mean yeah.
So the current system is it open enough to change? Actually not really, right? You only get one swap.
One swap lah. Yeah. And you will think really hard about it, and then after that then you probably then the time will have passed, and yeah, you wouldn't have swapped anyway.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. What are the reasons why you think someone wouldn't swap? As in, even with a tutor that mentor that doesn't make any sense.
As it doesn't make any sense. I mean, unless it's really you really cannot connect, then of course then you will really swap lah. But otherwise I think probably it's more just developing a relationship with another person like that. I mean, you along the way you will actually still meet other people who can also fulfill that role of guiding you. So you don't really necessarily need to change it officially per se.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know anyone who has swapped?
I've heard of people swapping, but as in but why they actually chose it, then I am not sure lah.
Have you heard of people who are not happy but ended up not swapping?
Not really leh.
Okay.
Unless it's no lah. Those that are not happy, then they probably have swapped it.
Okay. So I think you started touching on some disadvantages of the mentorship program, as in not being so ready for people to swap. Any other disadvantages of this program that you think?
I think probably they can allow, because I'm not sure now what is the system now, but when we were when we were first assigned and so on, I think they tried to actually assign a more senior person. But I think sometimes actually when it's actually closer to you, I mean not so senior would be actually a bit better. I mean, or maybe have two different ones, one is actually still in the program, and maybe just a JR to a SR kind of thing, and then SR to a AC kind of thing, and then one that is actually a bit more senior lah.
Okay.
Because actually you get different perspective, and actually for the for all your other emotional kind of problems, you probably will approach the one that is a bit more accessible, and maybe the training gap is actually not too long. For example, when you are stressed preparing for exams, then the first person you probably will ask is actually all your those who actually just cleared, or actually cleared for 1 or 2 years. You probably won't go and ask your senior consultant mentor, I'm actually feeling really stressed, and what do I do about it. Even the advice that they give you probably might not be able to, you might not be able to take it and use it properly because probably the gap is actually probably just too big. Maybe during that time, the exams were probably a different kind of format, for example. Yeah. So I guess I guess maybe disadvantage is that in the day-to-day ones when you are really stressed and like all these problems, you probably the current mentor system will not be able to help a bit more lah. Yeah, like and also like even other things like I feel stressed at work because actually you start having kids and like then kid at home is actually quite difficult to handle. Probably a bit also difficult to not that I mean your mentor might not have kids, but probably they are really like maybe teenagers and they are only just studying for exams, for example, and then you are like you are just in different phase of life, struggling like between work and crying baby at home, for example. Yeah, then for those, then it's actually those like maybe a few more years senior than you who have just passed that phase will probably be more able to understand and help you with certain things lah.
Okay, so you brought up some pretty good points. So this thing about not wanting to approach the senior with some problems, for example you said having a baby, so you feel it's because they are too remote in terms of
remote time. As well, as in terms of generation.
So you think there's a generation gap lah. Experience also, like exams also, that exams at the past is not exams now. Okay, how much of if we were to take that out of the equation, right, as in maybe your senior con also just had a baby, will you still have this type of barriers to
I still have this kind of barriers. I guess it's just, I mean probably still, because it's still a different phase of life.
Let's assume they are also just experiencing that phase of life.
That's difficult to imagine, but
yeah,
okay.
What I'm trying to drive at is are there any other factors that
are
preventing
whether
you?
That is like a common topic that you can start off with and then talk, or no, like I will still find probably they are not so current in a certain things.
Okay.
Or like
yeah,
I mean that's why I said it's actually good for like a macro view, but like for the day-to-day things, then probably is when you need to solve a problem at hand, then it's not really lah.
Okay, how about hierarchy? Because we think that Asians believe more in hierarchy than Westerners. How does that come into play in this scenario that we're talking about?
I guess the hierarchy can actually be sort of bridged in a sense if let's say the mentor actually is not so, I mean, as in doesn't work in a way that expects hierarchy lah. I think it's actually still okay, but I think it's more like it's a generation gap lah, maybe, if you really need to put it that way. Like for example, certain things you probably like won't tell your mom. You will tell your friends or your big brother instead. So in a work wise it's also similar. Like your parents will probably be like the senior consultant level and who are really like maybe parents, and so they actually provide a different parental advice versus like a sibling advice versus like a peer advice.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you would rather take the sibling and peer advice?
No, so it actually is, like I said, that's why I think it's good that if you have like maybe one and one.
Right.
Rather than like just one. And then you're just stuck. Like I mean, if you get one that is relatively younger, but anyway, I don't think they will assign ACs to you, or like maybe at most Cs maybe, but not ACs definitely lah. Yeah.
You brought up an interesting point just now about saying that the hierarchy may not exist if the mentor doesn't expect that, right?
Yeah, because I mean some I mean some SCs are actually just so personable that you just feel comfortable with just talking anything. So I think it's just maybe just the personality of whoever that you are interacting with lah.
Does it necessarily have to be cultural?
Cultural.
Yeah. Like, do being Asian cause them to be more hierarchical?
It might be. But I feel personally it's actually more the personality of the person.
Right.
Yeah, rather than like if the SC is like must always be prim and proper before you, then you must always appear prim and proper before him. Like you get me? Like
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Whereas like your cons don't really care, and they just appear in front of you, then like in a different setting, then you probably like, oh okay, then you probably feel more at ease also talking to the person lah, in a sense. I really think it's more like the personality. Yeah.
More than cultural. And you feel that this has to be initiated from the mentor side first?
It can be lah, but it's also depending on the mentor. If let's say if I'm not really the mentor, I mean if personally if you ask me if I were to mentor somebody and I feel that I'm not the mentoring kind, then I will probably say no lah, in a sense. Yeah, unless I feel that I am actually a mentoring kind, I really want to be, then probably then I will actually probably make an extra effort to be more personable in a sense, and try to put the person that I am with at greater ease. Yeah, so that to be more accessible. And so if I mean having been midway through, and if I were to actually mentor somebody, then first of all is actually because we have seen different people, different personalities, and we know that some people they really cannot mentor a person lah, because for how I mean if they like roll their eyes at every single thing that think that this is like a bit like juvenile behavior and that kind of thing, then it's a bit difficult to bridge that gap also. Yeah, so certain so I think first and foremost I mean you must really want to be a mentor, then you will probably want to be okay, and you probably be okay with like being a bit more personal, and then you probably will be the receiving person will also like sort of like reciprocate back in a certain way. Yeah, so I guess it's two ways as well lah.
Right. Can this be initiated from the mentee side, or you think it has to come from the mentor side?
I think it's more from the mentor, because it's a bit difficult to like tell a prim and proper person, I think you cannot be a mentor. Like you can't, right? I mean, like, I think that you are too prim and proper for me. Maybe that is what you call the Asian kind of hierarchy. Maybe that's like we don't say certain things in your face. Like I don't feel that.
Seniors, right?
I don't know. Maybe the way non-Asians do, probably they can do that. I mean, like I don't feel that you are prim and proper enough, or like not enough, or like something like that. Yeah.
So are there non-mentoring kind of mentors in the program?
Maybe. I feel so.
Have you heard of any experiences from your colleagues?
Have heard lah.
Have heard.
Yeah.
So
as in they just probably don't feel it's like you said, maybe like it's just all more business like lor. Like probably this is what I have to do, and I finish it and then stop. Right. So they probably just stop at there, and they probably whereas we have also seen other mentors that are a bit more like sort of like they really want, and then they will actually just like because actually once you take the initiative once or twice, and then after that then you build up the relationship, then it will be more like then it will be actually more two-way, I feel.
Okay. So if you were to do this whole mentorship thing differently, now that you have this experience already, how would you? Is there anything you do differently?
Probably I would just say that ask for volunteers. Who really wants, and also ask for volunteers to also state that you whether how many you can mentor or cannot mentor, so that you know then at least you know that the time spent with each person actually is more personal. And of course then try to also encourage the person the mentees to actually say that try to actually go to your mentors if let's say you have any problems. I mean they might not give you the best kind of advice, but at least you actually have somebody to talk to lah. And probably not so senior one and more senior one will actually be able to at least have like maybe two kind of mentors that probably give a different perspective. And of course along the way you can change it. I mean I don't think it should be a very it should be a more fluid rather than more like this is you must do this and you must do this and you must do this and you must be set in stone and name. And so then the and then even like the admin people will actually have to like chase you and ask you, hey, so have you like certain things like achieve the usual kind of KPIs that we Singaporeans are actually used to, which actually might not be very personal lah. So maybe just this part of the residency program maybe can be a bit more not so admin and paper like maybe. And maybe definitely don't need to document like how many times you actually meet your mentor and get your mentor to sign the number of days of leave that you have.
All that has to be done. Okay.
Because and the number of calls that you have, which is part of JCST requirements. It's like your mentor, like why would they need to know, like okay, so maybe just to keep tabs on like maybe you have not enough calls already, then you better like. But this one the admin people also can do it, right? They can just tell you like maybe you are lack of calls already, you better catch up on this, or like why do I need to bring a form to actually sign it off? But I think that is part of the JCST requirements.
Okay. How many mentees does your mentor have? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Okay. Possibly more than you?
Maybe one or two like that. But I know most of them actually just probably have one. But also it's a bit difficult because if you have so many residents, then it's a bit difficult to like get volunteers who will be willing to actually mentor.
How do you think mentors can be improved?
Like I said, they probably should be volunteer. As in they are more willing to invest the time lah.
Any way for them to get better then?
Get better. I think just be yourself. Like then it will be easier to connect rather than like so I think it's also two ways lah. I mean if you say that the Asian mentality that you have to be like must not save face in front of your consultant, then also the consultant must not want to save face in front of the then it probably will be easier that way to break that kind, or rather to bridge the gap.
Okay. So we have already touched a bit about cultural and Asians lah. So just to recap, what do you feel about this Asian concept? How do you think Asians are different from Westerners?
Maybe like we really don't say it to your face certain things, but we will still, I mean, we will still say it in another way that is a bit nicer. Probably if we,
Behind the back.
not really behind the back, but like, but when you're a bit more comfortable lah. Yeah. So I think maybe the Asian thing is probably we take a bit more time to warm up and actually get comfortable, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think Asians don't like to say things in the face of?
I don't know, because the way that we are brought up is like that. I guess.
Okay. Any other?
Like if you say things to your face to your mother, then your mother will probably give you a talking down. And then after that, then you will just shut up, right? I mean,
yeah.
So I guess it's how we are. I mean, this is difficult to change, lah. I mean, unless you change the way that we are. I mean, each family is brought up. If not, I think it's a bit difficult to change. But of course, you can make an effort to be a bit more personable, I guess. Yeah.
Any other things that make us unique as Asians compared to Angmo's?
I find that if the fact that we actually don't say things to your face is also can be actually an advantage lah.
Oh, okay. How is that so?
Because sometimes actually after you say certain things to your face already, then only after much later then you realize that actually this person isn't really like that. Then actually then you will have like probably like broken that bridge already. Because actually sometimes all it takes is a bit more time to actually understand the other person. So if really you like try to break a gap by saying things to the face, then of course then you got more service recovery to do, just like somewhere down the road in order to be back in the same page lah. So I guess that could also be I mean I feel that is more advantageous in a sense.
So it promotes a more harmonious kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Another feature that we thought was maybe prominent Asians is that the need to appear correct or right in front of seniors. Has this played a part in your relationship?
Like say if let's say the senior also doesn't need to be always right. Like always say that but be more willing to listen and then take into consideration and do things a bit differently, then it will actually then you will be less wanting to actually be always right.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's why I said it's actually quite it's not whether there is a hierarchy or not, but actually the personality of the person.
Okay.
Because I think if let's say you find that your consultant is actually open to discussion, and when you actually raise a point, is willing to change and see how things turn out, then that is instead of like saying I'm always right and definitely you are wrong, then in that kind of manner, then of course then I will need to appear to be always right, because then I know that I always then I feel that I'm actually more human, as in I'm still the same human as you, except that you're actually just a bit more senior than me. Yeah. Whereas then if the person actually is like always like tell you that I'm almost maybe 99.9% right and this is actually my instructions and you should follow them, then of course then when you have this kind of mentor, then you will probably say I will try my best to be always right before you lah, in a sense, and then probably I wouldn't tell you the 101 thing else that is happening to me. So if like it's like how you put it as well, right? If let's say I have a kid and my kid is crying at home and I am very stressed about it, but then I can actually just package it into like, okay, everything is fine.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just handling it, but everything is fine. Yeah.
Right.
Whereas if it's actually somebody who is okay, or you never say, oh yeah, yeah, I think the crying really gets to my ears, and then I'll probably share a bit more like this.
Mm.
Yeah.
So if I get you right, you're thinking that it's more of personality rather than a cultural concept that's deep rooted in our society.
Because I think for us as Singaporeans, I think we are actually quite open to many different cultures, and we have seen many different cultures already. So I don't think that it's such a big problem in our context compared to like maybe another country, for example, who is actually like, I mean, supposedly prim and proper. I mean, other Asian countries, because I mean, just for the fact that we are so exposed to many different cultures. So, and I think it's more the personality that actually, yeah.
Okay.
Whereas if this is like, for example, in Japan, for example, then I would say that then this is actually maybe might be a more real issue. Because they are really, the senior is always right.
Yeah. A more homogeneous society
Yes,
as well.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. So if you were to just give a rough percentage, okay, of your seniors who are more open, and how many percent of your seniors do you think are like that? More open, willing to be wrong, and not so hierarchical.
I think maybe if you say, then it will actually have to do with the age lah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, I find that actually the more senior they are, then probably the percentage is actually much lower, maybe like 30%, for example, compared to like when you're a bit younger, then you actually do see that maybe there's like at least like 50-60% of them are
more open.
Yeah, more open, and yeah.
Okay. Does it?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
It's just my personal view
your
of like
okay.
my environment, but I might be wrong.
But do you think is it a generation thing, or more of
maybe it's a generation thing?
Aging? Do you think it's aging related or generational? You get what I mean, right?
I think more generational.
So if you watch this group,
probably the older generation probably was still in the more Asian kind of. I guess lah, because I mean we progress from a very Asian kind of society to actually now we are actually very much open. So I guess also that's how I feel that different people are, and so I mean there are certain set ideas that the older generation won't be able to change. I mean, yeah, just the way they are built up lah. But I know that a lot of them are actually like already much more open already, and they are trying to, and it's just that sometimes I don't know, it's just still ingrained.
So even among the older generation, you also notice that there's some change in openness.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it has to be generational rather than age causing people to be less open. Right. That's a very good point that you brought up. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think we are nearing the end. So maybe you can describe what do you think is the ideal mentorship program like? Now take a step back and see the whole thing as a whole. How do you think an ideal one will look like?
Like I said, maybe like having 2 mentors, and ability to change along the way, and people won't feel offended when you change as well, and also like if let's say I have actually seen cases where the mentors, because they leave for private and everything, then the mentee just like, I'm just assign a new one lor. Because like then if they are going to leave, then of course then at least prepare the person so that the person actually can feel, but also like when people want to leave, they don't really want to tell people, and then only until when they really leave, then they just drop the bomb, right? I mean, so I have actually seen people change mentors just because the mentors leave lah, basically. Yeah.
Right.
Either for something, I mean, either for like, you know, for because they I mean, most of that time is actually because they go private lah. Yeah. So I guess yeah, so I guess maybe a bit of like preparation. If let's say if you are going to leave, and you know, allow the other person to actually find another mentor, for example, and not to set everything in stone, and as in like that it must be a proper documented thing, or like each meeting must be documented, for example.
More flexible.
Yeah.
Less.
Just more flexibility, I guess.
Okay.
But maybe can only be just for this part of the program lah. I mean, the fact that we have the program is actually to ensure that everything is, at least we cover all the basic necessary grounds, and make sure that everything run like clockwork in terms of rotation and everything. So probably this part actually can be a bit more flexible instead.
Any more things to add?
No lah.
No. Okay. Thank you very much for taking time off for this interview.